Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to the Coach's Show. I'm Miles Poole, along with the head coach of the DDC Storm and the athletics director here at the school, Matt Ridge. We're coming on just a few minutes late, a minute or two late. We've got some technical difficulties that we've worked out now. So I want to thank Jared Bowman for his engineering work and Tristan Wells behind the camera tonight. Coach, we got a really good show. Talk a little bit about the Region 10 tourney that you guys just finished. Also, we've got the national tourney coming up. You know, that's something we've all been waiting for that one, and you guys have earned the right to be there. So we'll talk about that. And we've got a special guest tonight, out of uniform, if you will.
Stormy the Cat.
Stormy the Cat.
Otherwise known as Evan Calhoun.
So, folks, you're going to get to see Stormy. I think this may be the first time Stormy's revealed, right?
That's
so
right.
You'll get to see what Stormy looks like without the costume. I want to brag on you guys a little bit. 30-2, 21-1 in conference play, second-ranked team in the country right now. You guys are on a 25-game winning streak. You just wrapped up your third straight Tourney championship. Your South Atlantic District A champions, qualifying you for the national tourney. Third year in a row that you've qualified for that. I think the 8th time in program history between D3 and D2. You guys are going to Danville. You guys are going dancing, right?
We sure are, and it's a great feeling. But like I told the guys, it's really important that we stay humbled so we don't get humbled. We want to base our pride on the future. I'm certainly proud of what this team has accomplished. Win or lose, going to Danville should be a great experience, and I'll be proud of no matter what happens. But since we're going, we might as well go ahead and win the doggone thing. You know, the last 3 years, we've had 3 guys, and 2 of them are here tonight. Javion Jones, L.J. Rogers, and Tim Boulware has been kind of the cornerstone of the program over the last 3 years. Their record in that time frame is an amazing 84 wins and only 6 losses, which is remarkable, especially when you consider the opponents they've played. So they're winners on the court, but more importantly, they're winners off the court. And all of our young men have bought in all 3 years, and this team is no different because it's not easy to go 30-2, especially in Region 10. So now we get to go and we get the right to try to string 4 more wins together and do something this program's never done.
Well, I want to remind everyone that we're following again on Facebook. If you want to text Coach a question or words of encouragement for the team as they head off for the national tourney, please do that. We'll get that on for you. We'll be following that. So let's jump right in. Let's talk a little bit about, we'll backtrack and talk about the Region 10 tourney. You know, that was a tournament that you guys earned the right to play here as long as you kept winning because you won the regular season championship, and we all know that playing in Brinkley is a big advantage. First game, quarterfinal game, Bryan and Stratton. It was a team that you ended the regular season a couple days before up at their place in a really close game, 74-70. You came away with a win, but you got to turn around and face the same team again. What concerns, or maybe what was your message to the team going into that first tourney game?
Well, number one, I was very concerned about that game because we had just played them at their place in a really close game, and they're much, much better than their record. And I thought the fact that since we didn't blow them out, so to speak, and it was only a 4-point win, we gave them some confidence coming into the game. They're long and athletic and well coached. They run a lot of different type of action, off-ball screens. They run their shooters the corner, do a great job spacing the floor. So I was very concerned, but I was really proud that our kids stayed humbled and understood that we were playing a team that could beat us. Our crowd that night was amazing, and we had some really good individual performance, like LJ and Javion. Didn't miss a free throw. We had kids that really, really got after defensively and created some offense off of our defense.
So you mentioned Javion and LJ, 2 team captains. Javion, 16 points, LJ, 14 points, and between the 2 of them, like you said, free throw shooting was just impeccable, 12 of 12. In the first game, did these 2 co-captains, these 2 leaders, set the tone that you expected from them as you kicked off the tourney?
Well, one of the things that I have the pleasure and the honor of doing is I get to see all the preparation behind the scenes. I mean, LJ and Javion, I have allowed to run film sessions. They put in so much work outside of practice, preparing mentally for games, scouting reports. They're watching film almost as much as I do. I mean, they're phenomenal. They love the game. They don't like it. So I felt like going into the game, we were well prepared, but I never knew how they would always respond on game day. I do think our crowd provided us some extra energy. Brinkley Gym will always be special to me. It's like my second home. I thought LJ and Javion did a great job of making sure everybody was mentally ready.
There's another guy I wanted to highlight in this game. Again, and it's always a team win, but Jarvis Tillman, to me, had probably the best game that I've seen him play in the time that I've been watching you guys. Best overall game. Talk a little bit about Jarvis's contribution in this win and in the role really that we need him to fill the remainder of this postseason.
Well, I mean, he was everywhere. Offensively, he was scoring for us. But normally he does everything that you need players to do to win that don't show up in the box score and in the paper. He's blocking shots. He's altering shots. He's rebounding. He's diving on the floor. You know, all the little things that coaches recognize that go into wins. But that night, I think he had 8 or 10 points, 11 rebounds, a bunch of assists. And then, of course, he had 4 or 5 blocks. So he was everywhere. He was a stat stuffer that night like he is most nights. And he did play really well. He had some big buckets. So, you know, I think the future is very, very bright for him. He keeps getting better and better and gaining more confidence. I met with him in my office today for about 30 minutes. He is a joy to coach. He always has a great attitude. He brings it with great energy every day, and he listens and is coachable, which are my 3 non-negotiables.
Well, 85-63 win, so you move on from the quarterfinals and you go to the semifinal game against Catawba Valley. A game I didn't get a chance to see that here. I missed that one, but you guys came away with a win there, 94-78 against a really good Red Hawks team. Just looking at the stats, you jumped out to a big halftime lead, 56-38. Again, big victory, 94-78. Javion, LJ, both, again, had really good games with 11 and 20 points respectively, but you also had good games coming off the bench. Talk a little bit about Jaden, Scriven, and Bryce Douglas. They had some nice games. They had a nice game there.
Well, Scriven played extremely hard that game on both ends. And, you know, I coach by feel on game day in terms of their rotations and their minutes. And he was everywhere that night. I remember him denying, sprinting to offense, getting offensive rebounds. So, therefore, he played more minutes. And then, of course, Bryce came in off the bench, and he got it going, and our players did a great job recognizing and getting him the ball. And everybody knows now, if they don't, they should, that Bryce can really shoot it. So it was great to see. I thought Javion, especially that game defensively, gave tremendous effort on and off the ball, which is what we need out of him in Danville next week. And, of course, LJ was LJ defensively.
Well, the Red Hawks are one of the more physical teams that you find in Region 10 play. They like to get points in the paint. The storyline in this one, though, is as I look and break down the box score, really interesting storyline beyond the arc. So play beyond the arc. You guys shot really well, 39% from three-point range, and you held the Red Hawks to only 10% shooting from three-point range, and they took a lot of them. They were 2 for 20. Talk a little bit about that three-point defense in the game.
Well, we talk a lot about how to defend the three-point line depending on who you're guarding and the way we close out. And there was a few guys on their team. I thought our guys did a great job of paying attention to detail in terms of how we want to close out on the better shooters and giving them no space and making them drivers, which is exactly what we got to do on Tuesday night because the team we're playing really relies a lot on the three ball. But we did a great job closing out on the Catawba Valley shooters, and they're a better shooting team than 10% from the three-point line. But a lot of that is credit to our players and paying attention to detail in terms of how you close out on especially their better shooters. And then on the other end, I think we did a great job of finding, like I said, the Bryce, the LJs, all of our shooters, and they were shot ready. And when the ball goes in the basket, everything looks, better.
Well, you move on to the championship game against Fayetteville Tech, coached by Brian Hurd. A good friend of yours. This is a matchup. I mean, if you look at the 2 games that you guys played in the regular season, they were close. I think both of them were 2-point games. So tough matchup for the finals. Thinking about those two games that you'd played early in your season, what was your message to the team going into this championship game? You're a step away from qualifying for the national championship.
Well, first of all, just like Bryant Stratton and Catawba Valley, as you well know, and it's so true, I know it's a cliche, but beating a good team 3 times is not easy. And like you said, the first 2 games against Fayetteville Tech were extremely close. In both games, we were down late. Brian has done an amazing job at Fayetteville Tech in recruiting, and this year especially, I thought his teams were so well prepared. They did a great job of listening and buying into what he wanted to do and how he wanted the tempo. All 3 games, he slowed it down, and we obviously wanted to speed it up. But all 3 games, I felt like he did a better job than I did in terms of playing the tempo that he wanted to play, and the kids did a great job. So, I'm not sure why we didn't shoot the ball well against them. I think a lot of it probably had to do with Fayetteville, Texas defense. But in all 3 games, we did not shoot the ball well against them this year. But to our kids' credit, our bread and butter is getting stops on the defensive end and our man-to-man pressure. And in all 3 games, especially late in the game at Fayetteville Tech, down 10 with 1 minute and 40 seconds to go, to dig deep and find a way to come back and win was truly remarkable by a group of young men that I get the pleasure of calling that I'm their coach. But it's just amazing how the kids are resilient and have that, we're going to find a way to win this game no matter what. And, to go 30-2, there's going to be a handful of games, Miles, where you don't play your best. And if you can find a way to overcome that adversity and win, you're going to have a special year, which is what this group's done.
It was interesting during that ball game. I was getting texts from Coach Wainwright of Wake Tech. He was watching the game, and he said, Fayetteville Tech, they gave us fits. Their length gave us fits, and it looks like that's what's happening right now, up at Brinkley. I think 3 of 26 from beyond the arc, 11.5%. Did their length give you guys trouble maybe?
I think on some of the shots it probably did around the basket, but there were other shots, Miles, where we were flat out wide open and we just missed them. And, some nights the ball's not going to go in the basket. Our kids aren't missing shots on purpose. I know that. But as long as they're good shots within their range, when they're on balance, I'm good with it. And I mean that sincerely. And if we go up to Danville and we miss great shots, I can live with that. What I can't live with is guys coming down against a set D, nobody touching the ball, going one-on-one and taking a contested shot. That's not who we are, and that's not how you win championships. So, the guys have the right to miss when they're open as long as it's in their range and it's a great shot, and they know what a great shot is. And what a great shot for LJ may not be the same for a teammate. And our kids need to understand our better shooters like LJ and Bryce and Zai and Javion, et cetera, need more shots.
One of the strengths of your team this year that's really stood out has been the depth. I mean, the deep bench. You can go you can go really deep in the bench, and not all teams that you play can do that. Fayetteville Tech is a good example. They had 3 guys, I think, that played, 3 reserves that played. So they didn't play, but 8 guys. They only had 10 points from their bench. Do you think you guys wore them out there? Because it looked like the last 4 or 5 minutes of the ball game, you guys kind of took that over.
That would probably be a better question for Coach Hurd, but I can tell you from our end, that is what we try to do, is over 40 minutes constantly make you sprint back. And if we're in better condition than our opponent, we should be able to out-execute you. And Javion Jones had 2 back-to-back huge steals. I think he actually had 3 late in the game, but excuse me, 2 of them were back-to-back. And if it weren't for LJ in the first half, we probably wouldn't even been in it, because I felt like at times he was the only player that was giving his absolute best effort defensively. But late in the game, our kids dug in and got the needed stops to win the championship. So I was proud of that. That's been about a week and a half ago now. And we sure are looking forward to playing somebody other than ourselves in practice.
Well, it was nice to see you guys win the tourney here at Brinkley. For the past couple of years, I've been able to witness that here. And, I've felt and heard so much in the 2 years that I've kind of followed this program about the Storm family. And, as I watched the celebration unfold, it really is clear what that Storm family is. I mean, it was pretty special. It was special to be part of that, special really to watch it unfold. Talk about your feelings about how special that is. to share that type of win on this court with the team, the school, families, and supporters?
Well, it's one of the best feelings you can have to watch your players climb up a ladder, cut down nets with smiles on their faces, and then share it. And when I say share it, I mean not just with their coaches, but the community, the administration, family. And that's what, for me, it's all about, is those moments that they'll cherish the rest of their lives. You can't buy that. You can't create that. It's just an accumulation of a lot of small choices over really a long, long period of time. And it's not easy to do. So one of the things I've tried to do personally is enjoy those moments, because I know how hard they are to reach. We have won the district several years now that I've been here in 15 years, and there's just a set of nets that we've never cut down. And whether we win it or not next week, I'm super proud of this group. But if we go up there and focus on playing as hard as we can defensively, rebounding as hard as we can, and sharing the ball, we got a good chance.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about the national tourney, because you did, with that win, punch your ticket to Danville. We also are going to have a special guest up here first, but we want to just acknowledge the folks chiming in here. Brian Hughes is watching. Brian Hughes is here. Manuel's watching. Manuel's here. We got Roosevelt Hines. You're a great coach, and you've got some great young men, so something to be proud of there. Deborah Millicent-White, Go Storm, so proud of all of you. Awesome coach and awesome team. Brandon Mullis is watching tonight. Also, Ashley Hicks Carroll says, excited to see how far the Storm go. Behind you guys and the school, 100%. So we've got some people shouting out for us here.
We got a lot of people in our community, like Ashley and, of course, Coach Mullis and all those folks that chimed in there. Brian Hughes is here tonight, as well as Manuel. I just appreciate all these folks, Miss White, as well as Miss Hines. So thank you.
And Kip Childers is also watching us. See you, Kip. So thank you guys for the support for this program. So we're going to take a quick break before we talk national tourney. We'll save that for last, and we want to bring up Evan Calhoun. Stormy the cat.
Stormy. All right, Stormy. Your time to shine, brother.
Welcome, Evan. Should I call you Evan or Stormy? Which do you prefer? Stormy. Okay. So this is Stormy without uniform. So tell us, Stormy, how did you get the job of being Stormy the cat?
Well, the one day I came into school, and Lynn Watts Tarn sent an email saying the school was looking for a mascot. So I thought about it for a minute and took the position to become the Davidson County mascot. And I met all the players before I became the mascot, like Scriven, Tim. They were in here shooting around the one day when I came in here. And I met them, and then a few months later, there was a first home game, and I met the rest of the other players, and that's where it started from.
So how does it feel, and how long does it take you to put on that uniform?
Like 5 seconds. Like 5 seconds.
Okay. And I got to ask you, you can see out of the head, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you talked a little bit about meeting the guys in the team. Tell us a little bit about what you think about these young men.
In my perspective, they're very talented players. I seen over the year, Javion, he's a good shooter. He can make all his shots. He can go past defenders. And LJ, I seen it with my own eyes. I think the game we were playing Pitt Community College, he hit a corner shot over there in the corner over there, and shot made it. They're very talented people, and I believe they can make the national tournament and win it.
So Coach talks about the importance of preparation. You know, he's a well-prepared coach. His team's well-prepared. Do you do anything special to prepare for a ball game?
I get the team hyped up every game.
Yeah, there you go. What does it feel like to be in Brinkley Gym getting the fans hyped up?
It really is amazing.
Now, you don't get to travel with the team. You're only Stormy at the home games, right?
Yes, home games.
Do you get a chance to go to Danville to the national tourney?
No.
No, but you're going to watch it. Mm-hmm. Are you going to watch it in the Stormy costume? No? Okay. So I got to ask you, Evan, during your time as being Stormy the Cat, tell us what your favorite memory is.
Get to come in here every day and hang out with the players and shoot around with them and watch them practice and what they do. I kind of practice by myself in here, and I take what they do as a motivation, so they motivate me.
Well, I tell you, you do a great job. I'll tell you a little story. I don't know if you remember, but I forget which game it was this year. I was coming in the front door, and I tried to get here about an hour before the game, and you were at the front door in your costume, and you opened the door up and gave me a fist bump, and I'm like, wow, Stormy's opening the door for fans. I said, he does everything. And I knew after that it was going to be a good ball game. So you do a great job, and we appreciate all you do as Stormy the Cat. One final question for you. Do you have anything to say to these young men as they travel for the national championship? Any words of encouragement?
All I got to say is y'all had a good season, and don't go to Danville and let your opponent destroy y'all.
Good words of encouragement. Nice job, Evan. You did a great job. Good job. Evan Calhoun, Stormy the Cat, and he's responsible for getting really the crowd pumped up here. He does a great job. Okay, who else we got? We got anybody else, or you want to talk about the national tourney? It's up to you.
Well, it's just
this is your show.
7:25. So we've had a special young lady be a manager here for 5 years.
Okay.
5 years. She's had to put up with Coach Ridge barking at her during practice at the scores table about, this, that, and the other. So she does everything from washing uniforms, picking up guys that are maybe struggling to get to practice. I mean, she does a little bit of everything, and I couldn't appreciate her more. Natalie Beck, please come on up, girl.
Come on up, Natalie. Real quick, Kip Childers said, tuning in from Phoenix, excited for the possibilities ahead for our guys. And he says, one thing I've noticed from my seat during home games, Kip is the PA guy here, does a super job. He says Stormy has definitely got some great dance moves. So
I agree.
My grandma's going to love this.
Okay, welcome, Natalie.
Hope she's watching.
So you've been trainer, you've been supporting this team for 5 years?
Yep.
How did you get involved with that?
Well, I've known Coach Ridge pretty much my whole life. I used to babysit his kids, and I was looking for a place to go after I graduated high school. I wasn't sure what college I wanted to go to, and my dad mentioned to me one day that Coach Ridge was looking for a manager, and I had been watching games pretty much since they started, and so I just decided to do it.
And you haven't regretted it at all, right?
No.
So what's the toughest thing that you have to do in that role?
Honestly, the toughest thing is managing school and doing this, but the jerseys are probably the worst part.
Okay. In the 5 years, any favorite memories that you can share with us?
Definitely winning the championships to go to the nationals, and that whole week of nationals last year was so much fun, and I enjoy every minute of our wins and everything.
So you get to go back next week, right?
Yep.
Different outcome this time.
Oh yeah, hopefully.
Okay. So any advice to these young men as they travel up to Danville? You've watched them for a long time.
Just stick to what you know and bring it home.
Would you get in the Stormy, the cat's costume?
You
No.
couldn't pay me enough for that.
He's got a tough job. So dealing with Coach, tell us about what you enjoy. I know he's tough, right? He's
Yeah.
tough, but you got to really enjoy something. Something's really got to just say, man, I just love being around this guy.
I love how much he jokes around with the players. I like hearing like the fellowship and the amount of like stuff we get to do as a team that he gets us to do.
So future plans for you, what do you have as far as future plans?
Well, I'm finishing up student teaching, so hopefully I'll be a kindergarten teacher next year.
Okay, are you student teaching? You're student teaching where?
At Davis-Townsend Elementary.
Okay, all right. So that's a great profession to get into, and you know, it's definitely something that you know, you can feel good about at the end of the day too, right?
Oh yeah.
Did you play basketball?
No.
Can you play basketball?
No.
She knows a lot about it after 5 years of doing this, though.
Yeah, I learned a lot, but I'm not athletic at all.
Now, do you get a chance to attend? Are you around the practice sessions and all that?
Not as much as I used to be. I used to be here every day, but not as much anymore.
So you've probably picked up a little bit on the X's and O's of what these guys do, right?
Yeah, I've learned quite a bit. Some of their plays I know, but not a lot.
You're in teaching, but would you ever think about getting into coaching?
Maybe for my kids' team one day, but probably not.
Okay. Any words of encouragement? Any final words of encouragement for these guys before they take off?
Just bring it home.
All right.
Thank you, Nat.
Thank you, Natalie. Natalie Beck, one of the managers here, a long time.
Yeah, 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
That's a long
That's
time.
loyalty.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and before we went live, as you well know, we had one young man up here wanting to interview me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zy Dawkins, let's go.
Come on, Zy.
Let's go all the way from Spartanburg, South Carolina. Our transfer from Erskine College. 6 foot, he says 2. I'm not so sure. Maybe with his hair spiky's straight up, 6'2", but he's had a heck of a year, Miles. Zy Dawkins.
So is Zy going to interview you?
I think he's going to get interviewed by you.
Okay. So we're going to ask Zy some questions. So congratulations on a good year so far. It's not over. We got games to play, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about how you feel as you've now qualified for the national tournament, and you guys, I'm sure, got together on Tuesday and watched that selection show.
Yes, sir. I feel pretty confident going into the tournament. I feel like we've talked about this moment since preseason, and I think we prepared this whole season, so I think we're ready.
Have you had a chance to look at your first opponent yet?
Yeah, we've watched film on them. They can shoot. They like to shoot a lot of threes, so coach has been emphasizing like getting out, make sure we're contesting and early helping and getting back to recover to our man.
So this team made it to the national tourney last year. You decided to transfer to the school this year.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that decision. I'm sure it was a good decision for you now, right? But when you made the decision, how tough was it for you to say, this is where I'm going to go play? Because they already had a pretty solid group of guys, right?
It actually wasn't that tough. Like once I met Coach Reg and I met Javion and LJ, and I did a little research of my own, and like just looking at the history, I could tell that this was a winning program, and I wanted to go to a place where it was family oriented. So that was the biggest thing. So my decision wasn't really that hard.
So you're very close to leaving on a plane trip to head up to Danville, Illinois. You're going to be playing for national championship ring, right? Your first time on that kind of stage. You've got guys on this team that have been there before. What kind of leadership are they showing you? Are they kind of helping with what what you guys can expect when you go up there?
I think, like, they've set the tone really from day one. Like, every practice we start with the score from last year's championship. So that's been a big emphasis to getting back to that point and not just getting there but winning it. So they've done a great job in emphasizing that.
So I got to ask you because I've never been in that position before, but I've always wondered. So you guys are getting a lot of attention anyway. The team, because of the history and the program, and you guys have only lost a couple games this year, so a lot of attention. But now, there are 131 teams in D2, and there's only 16 teams left playing, and you guys are one of those 16 teams. So you're playing for a national championship. You got a lot of attention. I'm talking to you right now, but you got to remain focused on that first game, right? How do you block all of that stuff out? Or does it matter to you?
We've been doing it all season, really. We just try to take one game at a time. Coach Ridge always says the most important game is the next game. So we can't look ahead. Everybody in the national tournament has a chance to win it, so we're just trying to focus on our first opponent in the first round.
How ready do you feel like you guys are?
I'm ready. I think we're all ready.
So you have you've been in the system now for a year. You know and you've seen examples of how what Coach Ridge and Coach Allen are teaching you guys work. Mm-hmm. You've been able to play with this team for a year. You guys are going out. You're executing. Is there any one thing, Zai, that if I were to ask you, you feel like, man, if we can just do this when we get up there, everything's going to be okay?
I think the two biggest things would just be taking care of the ball and just rebounding, because our identity is playing defense. So if we go down there and we do that, I don't think any team can beat us.
After the national tourney, what are your plans? You going to continue to play ball?
Yes, sir. I want to move on to a 4-year and just keep working on my game and my craft and just getting better.
Any schools that you're looking at or are looking at you at this point?
Right now, Converse and Limestone.
Okay. Well, good. We certainly are excited that you chose to come here. You've been a great addition to this team. I want to wish you guys the best of luck next week as you travel up to Illinois. And just really don't forget to savor this experience, right? I mean, this is a big experience. You worked hard. The team's worked hard to get there. It's something you'll remember for the rest of your life. So, enjoy it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Cy Dawkins.
Miles, Zai, last summer when he started having open gyms, I don't think he missed one. Maybe one the whole summer, but, a lot of kids say they love it when I recruit them, but then when they get here, they don't put the extra time in outside of practice, and he certainly has. I couldn't be prouder of him. He's been our starting point guard the whole year, and he does have 4 years, very interested. So if you're out there listening, you're 4 years, Zai Dawkins, 6'2", point guard, can lead and run the team. And here recently, he's been one of our better defenders in practice. So I'm looking forward to next week, him picking up full court man and doing what we do, and hopefully over 40 minutes wearing our opponents down.
Well, he's a well-spoken young man, again, as all of your team is coach. So you did a good job, Zai. All right, you want to talk about national tourney a little bit?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Okay. 131 teams left, as we just said. 131 teams in the D2, 16 teams left. You got to put everything aside now, right? Everybody is starting from the same point. You guys are all 16 of you guys are 0-0, right? It's a brand new season. It's the third straight year that you qualified for this tournament in Division II. We didn't get to play a couple years ago because of COVID. But I know you've waited for this moment since last year at the end of the tourney. Tell us a little bit about how special it feels to be heading back with a chance.
It is difficult to get there, number one. So it is special. And the Saturday afternoon that we won the game against Fayetteville Tech, I enjoyed that evening with my family, with the community, with especially our players, with my staff, with Dr. Hartness, people like Brian Hughes, the Kevin Garners, the Manuel Teagues, people like yourself, Jared, et cetera, Tristan, Natalie. It's just one big family. But whether we win or lose in Danville, it's not going to diminish at all what this team has accomplished. Winning 30 games is not easy at any level, And there's going to be some teams go up there that are there to do one thing, and that's win the national championship. It's going to be a business trip, and that's how they're going to treat it. Then there's going to be a handful of teams that they're going to be on vacation. They've never been there maybe, and they don't know how to handle it mentally. And I've told our kids, whether they win or lose, my biggest challenge for them is to, like last year's team, be loose mentally and just enjoy the experience and know when they're open. I expect them to shoot it with supreme confidence and not be concerned about the result. There will be some teams up there that will freeze up and not play at their best because they can't handle the big stage, so to speak. And so I think the one thing from last year that I learned as a coach, it's important for them to understand there is millions of people around this whole world that don't even know these games are going on and could care less. So remember, it's a game, and enjoy the experience.
Great take and great advice. Just curious to get your take on this, and I think maybe some Storm fans would be interested. Only 16 teams qualify for this tournament. If I look at the rankings, the top 20 rankings, only 10 teams in that top 20 qualified for this tourney. And you could make a case, for example, Region 10. I mean, you got Fayetteville Tech, you got Wake Tech. Good teams had really good years, but don't get a chance to go there the way it's set up. But would you be in favor, or is that something you'd be in favor of, is maybe expanding it to a larger than 16 teams and maybe having some more at-large bids?
In the National Junior College Athletic Association, in men's basketball, Division I and Division III has at-large berths to the national tournament. D2, unfortunately, does not currently. That's been a discussion for several years now. It is my hope that one day they will allow some teams to get at-large berths. 7 out of the top 8 ranked teams made it this year. So you only had one in the top 8. But then after the 8th ranked team, you had a bunch of teams in the top 20 that didn't make it. So if you don't play your very best in your regional and district tournament, your season's usually over unless your region has multiple bids. And there's a lot of regions around the country where you only get one bid to the nationals, whoever wins that tournament. So you've got a lot of teams sitting at home right now, like Fayetteville Tech and Wake Tech. I mean, Wake Tech was ranked in the top 20 in the final poll. So, there's a lot of teams at the house doing inventory that are talented enough to compete in Danville next week. So I absolutely do agree that I hope the national office will have some more discussion about that, because I do think the field should be more than 16 teams.
Well, when they announced the seeds, a good example was the team you guys face in the first round. You guys are playing 15th seeded Muskegon. And I think the Jayhawks finished third maybe in their conference in the regular season, and they got on a little bit of a roll, really close games in that tournament, but they won their conference tournament to get their ticket punched to Danville. Have you been able to watch any game film on the Jayhawks yet? And if so, can you tell us a little bit about what kind of team we're going to be facing in the first game?
I've only watched 6 games so far, but they do rely on the 3-ball a lot, and they're very skilled and talented. They share the ball, which concerns me. We've got to get out and pressure the ball and get out in the passing lanes and make them uncomfortable. They're fairly athletic. They've got a point guard that does a great job running the team, and they play a few kids off the bench that can come in and make plays. They got one particular kid that comes off the bench that shoots it as good as anybody they start. So we have to be mindful of guarding the three-point line. If they get hot from the 3, it could be a long night for us. So it's my job to make sure we understand how to close out on each individual player, because each individual player has a different skill set. Now, a lot of them can shoot it. So it's really important that we take away their three-point line and make them drivers.
Any team in Region 10 or team that you've played this year that the Jayhawks resemble?
A little bit, Central Carolina, because they just got so many shooters like Central Carolina. They're in that D3 league in Region 10, but they got some guys that are fairly more athletic than some of the Central Carolina players. So, they're a scary team in the first round because they're coming in as a 15 seed, so they don't have anything to lose. They're probably going to come in just cranking up a bunch of threes. So we got to make sure our kids understand what they're going to do offensively and beat them to spots and take that three-point shot away.
So a little time since you guys have actually played a ball game, right? I know you guys have been hard at it at practice. What does the practice schedule look like and the prep work look like for this team before you guys leave for Danville this weekend?
Well, this week's been a little different because we've had 5 guys that couldn't be at practice because they're taking the COVID rapid test this Saturday morning. When you make it to Danville, you either have to have your players fully vaccinated or take a COVID test 96 hours before you step foot in their gym. So the majority of our players have had the vaccine, but we've had some that didn't. So we haven't had everybody at practice this week. So I haven't put in a ton of stuff this week, which I wasn't planning to anyways. But, we've just got up a lot of shots. We've worked on our sets. We focused on us mostly. We did do one film session 2 days ago. Wednesday. Yesterday we did film session on our opponent. And today, of course, we went back over the scouting report a little bit. But Saturday morning, once these guys get tested, we're going over the scouting report again. We're going over our assignments, and then we're going to watch film before we get on that plane Sunday morning.
So what time are you guys leaving Sunday morning?
So we have to leave Davidson-Davie at 4:30 a.m., which is really 3:30 because it's daylight saving times, as luck would have it. And then we drive to Charlotte. We'll get dropped off there hopefully around 5:45-ish. And then our plane takes off a little bit after 7.
So do you get much time to be in the Mary Miller Center there to do shoot-around or anything?
Every team on Monday gets 30 minutes.
Only 30?
Only 30 minutes. They got to get 16 teams in. So you can imagine that 16 divided by 2. 8 hours they're going to be in that gym because there's only so many hours in the day. So, yeah, every team gets 30 minutes.
So how healthy is the team going up there? Had a little time since the last game to kind of heal the bumps and bruises, but what do we look like?
Well, nobody in the country is going to be 100%, Miles. It's a long season. It's a grind. It's a marathon, and we're right there at the finish line. So, a lot of our guys are still healing up some things they've been dealing with off and on all year. Bryce has had an ongoing hip issue. He practiced today through it. Chase has had an ongoing wrist issue. He practiced today through it. Tim had surgery on a finger, re-injured it. He practiced today. LJ's had a growing injury. He practiced today. Scriven, ankle, practiced today. Keith, ankle, practiced today. Mike Wade, he's coming back off a heart issue. He got cleared. And Javion's ankle. So, all these young men are tough. They battle through pain, and there's a difference between having an injury and being a little hurt. And fortunately, right now, most of our players are hurt and not injured.
Tip-off for the game, I think there's change in time zone, right? Is it 3 p.m. on Tuesday?
It's 3 p.m. Central Time, which here will be 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Now, for Storm fans that can't make it up to Danville, how can we follow the action of this tourney?
So if you go to the NJCAA website, click on men's basketball, and go to the NJCAA network, you'll scroll down, and there'll be a link to watch the games. And you can pay in numerous ways. I think it's maybe $10 a day or a session, or you can buy like a $30 or $40 or $50 pass for the whole week set of games.
So I'll let you, as a final piece before we sign off here, take a few minutes maybe to thank some of the Storm sponsors and viewers and fans.
Well, first of all, we wouldn't be who we are without the support, not just financially, but just the love and the community, the family feel that these guys get. It's like, as I said earlier, part of the reason he came here was the feel and the family atmosphere. And, today before practice, my assistant and I met with one of our players, and by the end of the conversation that we had, we were all brought to tears almost. And it's just a special place. I can't describe it. It's hard to explain it to people. But, I have 3 daughters, one of which is here tonight, and a wonderful wife at home. But I also have a basketball family that I love and cherish. And I only get to coach 5 of these players 4 more games. The Bryce Douglas, the Zy Dawkins, and of course the Tim Boyer, Javion Jones, and LJ Rogers will forever be special. And wherever they go, I hope they know they can always come back, and this will be a big part, hopefully, of their life, and they know we'll always be welcome to come back home, and I hope they can call this home.
Well, great moments in life come out of great opportunities, and you guys have that, right? You guys have got a great opportunity next week to go up to Danville and do something really special. You guys next week are the best team in the NJCAA Division II. So, just go up there and get it, man. I mean, that's all I can say to you guys. Go up there and get it.
Well, when I was hired in 2007, I wrote down some goals, and my players have heard me say this. About the 15th year, our goal was to win a national championship, and this is year 15. And we have, several young men, Javion, of course, LJ, Tim, et cetera, that chose to come back, but especially those 3 for a 3rd year when they didn't have to. I mean, Javion and LJ had scholarships. But they told me part of the reason they wanted to come back is finish what they started in Danville. So I will, forever be grateful for that because they could have moved on. Sorry.
So before we go, not sure if we're going to have another coaches show. I don't know how many of our Storm fans know, but you're going to, after you come back from Danville, you're going to have some knee surgery. You're going to have a knee replacement, and you're going to be doing a little recovery. Number one, you're too young to have that, by the way, Coach. But so we're kind of up in the air on if we're going to have a next coaches show or not. While you do that, heal and recover. But we want to wish you the best of luck in that as well.
Thank you.
You guys come back and go up there and do your thing.
Playing, Miles.
All right. So, any final comments before we end the show?
Just want to thank the community for all the love and support. I mean, we don't win that district game without the amazing support in Brinkley Gym and the energy they provided with us.
Well, Eve Calhoun says, "Go Storm players. Stay focused. Play hard. You got this. Bring home the win." Karsha Reeves, "I'm excited for Coach Ridge and the Storm basketball team. He definitely has kept us grounded." And then she says, "Go Storm. We are built for this." So we want to thank the Storm fans for all the support and for tuning us in and following us all season. And certainly do that next week as you guys really go after that national tournament. Good luck Tuesday. And, enjoy it. Enjoy the moment.
I want to thank you. You've done such an amazing job this year. The homework you put in behind the scenes for not just the show, but game day. Kip, I know you're listening. Same thing. You put in a tremendous amount of work behind the scenes. I can't thank Jared Bowman enough for all he does. And, of course, Tristan and Natalie and Manuel and on and on and on. Last thing I want to say is I want to thank my family, my wife at home, that allows me to do a job that I love and understands the demands of a college coach, and my 3 daughters that make so many sacrifices when Daddy isn't always home.
Well said, nicely said, and we will hopefully we'll have one more coaches show left in the books, and we appreciate you guys joining us tonight.
Thanks, Mike.